The Philippines is an enticing destination for travelers, offering world-renowned beaches, year-round tropical weather, delicious food, and warm, welcoming locals. Through my channel, I've had the privilege of engaging with tons of people from around the world who share a love for the Philippines. In these conversations, I've gained unique insights into their perspectives on the country. To provide a more well-rounded view, I've compiled several of these discussions, featuring observations from both short-term visitors and long-term residents. Here's what they had to say. Taga-Germany ikaw? Purong German talaga?
Oo, purong German ako talaga.
Anong pagkakaiba ng German culture at Filipino culture?
Like I said, yung mga tao, sobrang strict dito. Tapos, what I like is that it's always hot in the Philippines. Sobrang gusto ko yan. Tapos, yung mga hospitality, yung hospitality ng mga Filipinos, grabe. Like, I love it. I love it in the Philippines. Germans are not like that. Not so much. The Philippines is just so different, and if you go there as a foreigner who doesn't know it, I think who will not fall in love with that country. It's like, they're so nice, so friendly, the food is amazing, sobrang masarap ng pagkain, the beaches, ang ganda. The Philippines has so much to offer, so yes, it's nice in Germany. It's maybe safe and you will have a good work. But other than that, I want to move to the Philippines.
Mas gusto mong tumira sa Pilipinas?
Oo, sobra. Sana soon. Kasi sobrang love ko yung buhay sa Pilipinas talaga. Like, life is just so much better there.
Anong gusto mo sa Pilipinas?
Yung mga simbahan, sobrang ganda. Gusto ko yung religion. That they're so religious. Like, even on Easter, even on Christmas, it's not just about family, it's also about God and about Jesus. Like, they don't forget that part. So, that was one thing that really surprised me. Kasi in Germany, it's not that so much anymore. Yun, that was one part sobrang gusto ko sa Pilipinas.
Are you interested in learning Tagalog but having trouble finding quality learning materials? Allow me to introduce my Beginner's Tagalog course. 8 years ago, I began teaching myself Tagalog, but I got really frustrated, not only by the complexities of the language, but also the lack of resources for Tagalog. So that's why I decided to create the language course that I wish I had when I started learning. Sign up for my beginner's bundle and get lifetime access to 18 video lessons with corresponding PDF vocabulary sheets. Click the first link down below to get started. Now, back to the video. How did you end up in the Philippines? Like your first trip there, how did that take place?
Honestly, by that point, I've been to a lot of the Southeast Asian countries. I had no idea what the Philippines was even about. I know growing up in Toronto, I saw a lot of Filipinos as just people living there. And I found them to be very polite, very nice. And a buddy of mine wanted to take like a guy's trip. And he's like, hey, let's go to Thailand. I'm like, I've been to Thailand a couple times. Let's try Philippines. There was no specific reason. But once we got there, I went to Palawan. I went to some of the touristy places. And I just fell in love with the people's kindness. And they're so sweet. And they speak English, so you can have in-depth conversations, a lot more than Thailand per se. So he went back to Canada because he has a regular job, and I was like, you know what, I'm staying here. And the fact that the Philippines allows you to continuously extend your visa up to 3 years as a tourist was like a big bonus for me, right? So I'm like, this is it. So I rented an apartment, and at that point, I was still working as an online English teacher. So I needed a stable place with internet connection. I don't know if that's when COVID happened, but I was there for like 9 months at one point. So a very long stretch of time. And that really basically planted my roots in Cebu and makes me keep coming back.
So your very first trip to the Philippines, you were there for 9 months.
Essentially, yeah. That's one way to look at it. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. But initially, it started off with just 2 weeks. But when the 2 weeks was over and my buddy had to go back to his regular job, so I'm like, I don't got nowhere to be. Why not just continue living here? So that's how it happened. Also, I feel like it's a good first country to start if you've never been to Southeast Asia, right? Because of everything we just talked about. But the friendliness of the people, you feel a bit of comfort. And it's really westernized as well when it comes to like the restaurants and just the pop culture and music and all that. So for me, it felt a little bit like home already. So I'm like, well, why not stay in a place that actually wants me? Like the government wants me in this country. The people are so welcoming, right? And one thing for me, I like talking to people, for example. So even at cafes, restaurants, at the parks, anybody that I found either attractive or just looks fun to talk to, I would just spark up conversations. And these conversations led to all kinds of networking and events and, meeting new friends and doing all kinds of things. And I feel like in the Philippines, no matter who you are in your home country, you kind of get like a fresh start and you can be whoever you want to be. No one really cares about your past. They don't judge you the same way.
Was there any culture shock at all when you first got there?
By that point, to be honest, not necessarily. No, because I've been to so many Southeast Asian countries. I've been to Cambodia, Thailand, as we mentioned, Vietnam. So the whole idea of like maybe the poverty aspect of it, and like I'm from Afghanistan, so I've seen that even as a kid. So for me, it was nothing new. The one thing that did surprise me a bit was how happy the people were, even if they were in the best of circumstances, right? So that was one thing that kind of like was a really eye opener for me. Just because somebody was living in a less developed area didn't necessarily make them a hateful person or a mean person or a rude person or a jealous person. I played basketball with the local kids, and even like the barangay captain would invite me to a birthday party. I'm not like Caucasian, for example. So this whole idea that the Filipinos only like white guys or white people, it's just a myth. It's not about that. And and I'm not very tall. I don't stand out in any way that somebody would want to be with me, So even as a regular average looking person, they still accept you. They still want to share their beer, their cake, whatever they got with you. So it's a really cool culture. And I feel like Filipinos are approachable too as people, right? Like, for example, in the Philippines, a person in the park can be playing a guitar and you could just walk up to them, talk to them about their music, their guitar, how long they've been playing for. There's no barrier like it is in some other countries, right? I can never walk up to just anybody. I think in Canada, people are too busy. Canadians are nice, they say, but I think a lot of times it's like we are, but to a certain degree, people still got a job, they got to go to work, they're always busy, they may not give you the time of the day, but I think the Philippines is different.
As a Canadian, what would you say the biggest differences are between Canada and the Philippines in terms of culture?
Well, it's difficult because Canadian culture, as you know, is so wide in range, right? I don't know. I can't even think of our national food except for poutine, right? So we don't really have something that's authentic Canadian and maybe maple syrup. But like when it comes to the people, it's hard to put my finger on it, to be honest. I think the biggest difference culturally might be the fact that there's a big sense of community in the Philippines, right? Where I think in Canada, we're very individualistic people, right? So we're always thinking about me, or my job, my work, my stress, my this, my that, right? The Philippines is more of like a community and a family. Like, so usually when they speak of anything, it's us or we. They talk about family a lot. Even like if you go on a date, you might see somebody asking, can I bring my sister? Can I bring my cousin? Can I bring my friend? Because they do everything together. And I think that sense of community is a lot more strong in the Philippines than it is in Canadian culture.
I've noticed that as well, that when someone has a party at their house, everybody's invited.
Not only family, but whoever's in the community, whoever's in the neighborhood. They all come by, they stop by, they sing along. That, I think, is beautiful. It's wonderful. And I think living in the West, I kind of lost a little bit of that as well. You try to make plans with friends. Hey, how's next Thursday? You have to literally schedule people in, Filipino culture, if you say, hey, party tomorrow, they come no matter what. I think the thing that keeps me coming back to the Philippines is the people themselves. They're so warm and welcoming. Every time I come back to Cebu, I just feel like I'm at home. There's like a big smile on my face. I go to all my regular places. I say, hey, Sir Alex, you're back. I'm like, hey, what's up? You feel like you're welcome, and why not go somewhere that you are welcome?
Anong paborito mong bagay sa kulturang Pilipino?
Family. Family is everything here. I'm sure nakita mo yung isang family, kahit 4 generations, nakatira sa isang bahay. Pag may celebration, lahat ng kamag-anak, lahat ng extended family, yung mga friends nila sa barangay, sasama sa celebration. Ang saya-saya talaga ng buhay. Saya ng mga Filipino dito. Kaya, yun yung nagustuhan ko. Ang saya ng mga tao kasi nahahawa kay masaya sila, tapos parang ikaw din. It's like contagious. Kaya maganda talaga mag-stay dito na matagal.
Gusto ko rin yun, yung mga parang kung gusto mong sumama sa kanila, welcome ka palagi. Kahit umiikot kami doon sa mga barangay sa Maynila, wala kong kilala doon, di ba? Foreigner ako, hindi ako taga doon. Pero kahit umiikot lang sa ibang barangay Sembo, sa Sampaloc, kahit saan, mabait talaga yung mga tao sa akin. At sinasabi nila, oy, halika dito, anong pangalan mo? Anong bansa mo? Anong gusto mong gawin dito? Siguro, naalala ko pa sa ibang barangay Pio sa Makati. Meron akong nakita sa kalsada, parang nagbabenta siya ng isda. Sabi niya sa akin, "Oy, welcome to our country. Maraming salamat sa pagpunta sa Pilipinas." At hindi ko siya
Wow.
kakilala. Parang bigla sinasabi nila yon sa akin. Parang it melts your heart. Ang bait talaga nila.
Once nakapunta ka dito, parang ayaw mo na umalis. Parang ganun.
At kahit dumating ka sa Pilipinas ng mag-isa, hindi ka mag-iisa. May kasama ka palagi. Basta sinusubukan mo rin. Dapat kausapin mo rin sila. Dapat curious ka rin. Pero pag ganyan talaga yung ugali mo, na open ka sa kanila, tinatanggap ka nila.
100%. Nag-stay na ako dito ng 2 taon. Ganun talaga. Yung katapat namin lagi nakikipag-usap sa akin. Tapos kahit 2 taon na ako dito, na-amaze pa din siya na galing mo mag-Tagalog. Sinasabi ko, tsamba-tsamba lang yan, tito. Ganun. Tapos like, hindi. Nabibilib ako sa'yo. Ang bait nila. Ngayon, andito kami sa Bulacan nag-i-stay. Malapit siya sa Maynila, pero it's still got the kind of province feeling. So, tahimik pag gabi, yung mga places nagsasara pag mga 8 or 9. So, maganda talaga siya dito.
Kaya sa Bulacan talaga kung saan ka yung pinakamatagal.
Oo, 2 years na kami dito sa Bulacan.
Sa first trip mo, 2 taon ka rin sa Pilipinas pero iba't ibang lugar.
Tama.
Hindi ka lang 2 years sa Pilipinas, 4 pala sa lahat.
Oo nga pala, no? Nahati pala yung time ko dito. So, 2 years in 2015 and then 2 years sa ngayon. Pero for the foreseeable future na kami dito, parang habang buhay na.
Hindi ka na titira na naman sa England.
Hindi na.
Masaya ka na.
Oo, ba't ba ako babalik dun? Parang, syempre, gusto ko makita yung family ko. Pero yung weather doon, laging ulan. Yung mga tao, compared sa mga Filipino, hindi sila masyado mabait. Yung dito, yung community, yung sobrang maganda. I'm sure na-experience mo din yung lahat gusto makapag-usap sa'yo. Parang lahat kaibigan mo, ganun. So, sobrang maganda yung para experience dito. Tapos yung pagkain naman, syempre. Hindi mawawala yung pagkain. Ang sarap ng pagkain dito.
Looking at your videos on your main reaction channel, it's not exclusively Filipino content, but there's a lot of Filipino content.
I think it was like 2 months or 3 months after I started the channel, Filipinos started asking me to react to that content in the comment section, you know. And back in the day, I only knew that the Philippines was a country in Asia and that it was paradise, you know, like teal waters, white sand, and that it was really hot. But that's the only thing that I knew about the country. And they asked me, and I was like, sure, why not? Let's try. So I reacted to one of their artists. It must have been maybe Katrina Velarde or Morissette Amon, and I really enjoyed it. And that video got a lot of views, and I was so surprised myself and my ex at the time. But why did I continue to react to the content? It's because of the Filipinos, because they are such humble, kind, sweet people. Like the interaction with Filipinos was so easy. And yeah, I just kept reacting to Filipinos till this day. And at some point, I just decided, you know what? Let's make this channel almost all about Filipinos. Because on YouTube, it's also smart, I think, and important to niche down. I think that's how they say it in English.
What's your favorite thing about Filipino culture?
The people themselves. They are so welcoming. Like you can sense the kindness and that Filipino heart that they keep talking about, right? You can sense it via each interaction. They are very respectful, very welcoming, and just in general, they're very happy people. When I stumbled upon Filipinos, that was a shock to me, you know, because I'm from Algeria and we're not like that at all. We like confrontation, you know? But Filipinos are completely different, and I just can't wait to go there to actually experience that firsthand. Music and singing is such an integral part of Filipino culture. They start singing at such a young age with karaoke. I mean, it's incredible. They have 2-year-olds that can sing better than you or me. That's insane, man. Like when I tell them that I sincerely believe that they are the best singers in the world, I do believe it. I'm not lying. I mean, I've been reacting to their content for so many years, and I haven't heard singers that are as dedicated to singing as Filipinos.
And welcome to Vancouver, by the way. I saw that recently that you'd made that move.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Lots of Filipinos here as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, that was a big part of my inspiration also. There's a few things that converged in sort of this like slow moving and yet somehow sudden epiphany in January for me to come to the Philippines. And that was a factor, is that in the last 10 to 15 years living in Vancouver, I've had occasion, of course, to make Filipino friends and just to like encounter Filipinos in day-to-day life. And the thing I always noticed, but didn't really stop to think through was, and of course it's a generalization, but it's from my experience almost entirely true. A lot of laughing, a lot of smiling, a lot of open-heartedness, playfulness, appreciation for music and singing. And these are all things that I greatly admire in anybody. So I just thought to myself, maybe if I go to the Philippines, I will meet even more people that are that way. Every day that I've been here, I've played music. Every day that I've been here, I've made a true friend. And I want to make a point here of saying, the generosity of my Filipino friends is extraordinary. I mean, for example, I brought a guitar with me from Canada and I haven't really had the chance to use it yet. So, some of the buskers have been generous enough to say, yeah, come play a couple songs, which is its own story, already amazing. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to come down, bring all my gear, set it up. You're going to play for 2 hours. Just giving me this opportunity to play as if he's my brother. And that's kind of why I feel like now he is my brother.
Anong paborito mong bagay tungkol sa kulturang Pilipino?
Binago yung mga Pilipinong tao ang buhay ko. Talaga. Kasi bago yung mission ko, I was very much so different. Doing not the best things I could be doing. And mahirap talaga yung buhay ko. Kaya nag-decide ako na mag-serve yung mission. Pumunta ako sa Canada and natuto ko ng Tagalog. Mahirap yung mission ko talaga. Pero at the same time, yung mga Pilipinong tao, they taught me how to love, how to be humble, how to turn to God. Kasi religious sila talaga. They really taught me what humility, love, and charity looks like. And that's something I can never repay them for. It's part of the reason kung bakit nagturo ako ng Tagalog at gusto ko na mag-Tagalog. I want to, do lahat yung mga Tagalog bagay. Gusto ko na pumunta sa Philippines. Because every time I'm in the presence of Filipinos, and maybe praise din sa inyo, it reminds me so much of why I learned this language and why I love the Filipino people.